In this video, we're going to pick up where we left off in the last. I'm going to come in here. This brake arm, I feel like maybe the bottom section here that could be a little smaller. I'm going to F3, F4. I'm going to select some verts. All this bottom section here. I'm going to go to scale. And as we did earlier, I don't want to change the thickness. I just want to change the diameter a little bit. So I'm going to just do that. That looks better. Then we're going to manually move a few. Maybe we'll take this whole selection here. Let's rotate it and move it a little bit. Just like that. Grab that vert. Okay. Back these out a little bit. Just going with what I think will look best. It's a little better. I think also the top might need to be a little smaller as well. So I'm going to select that whole section. Vertice selection, vertex, and we're going to scale them down with R, and we're going to use the same handle. Center will scale everything uniform, and you come out here, you have these little yellow bars that show up, and they'll do two directions. So that's what I want to do. I want to do that right there. Okay. Pull it forward a little bit. Let's go to left and see if these holes are kind of aligned with where they need to be. They're kind of. This one's a little different, but I'm not worrying about that. I think we'll just make sure when the wheel shows up that it doesn't interfere in any way, and then we'll be okay. The other thing is, let's go to border selection. There was a little artifacting at the bottom there, a little black spot. So I'm going to take that border. I'm going to make it planar along the Z. And turn on symmetry again. F4, make sure that looks good. And it does. And you see there's a little bit of a gap down here in the bottom. I'm just going to go down to border, turn on end result, toggle end result. I'm going to grab this border and I'm just going to move it. And there we go, it's fixed. Has a threshold for the symmetry. Okay, left viewport, let's save it. Control and S to save, or hit the diskette, wherever you want to go to save. I'm going to just quickly unhide all. No. And PZ. Okay. I'll move this back a little bit. You'll see that, like with the adjustments I made, it's not quite, it's intersecting the wheel a little, so I'm going to do a little rotation. And maybe scale a touch. Okay. Let's grab this section here. I have show end result toggled on. I'm going to just scale that down, just like that. It's not tragic. I'm going to scale these in a little bit, just like that. Okay. Now it's fitting there pretty good. You'll see we have that black edge again. It's not a big deal. Let's turn off toggle end result. I'm going to do a border selection again. Let's grab that border. And planar along the Z. Let's toggle symmetry. And we might need to move that mirror plane. So I click on mirror below symmetry and grab the gizmo and just do that. Turn on turbo smooth, F4. And let's make sure that it's clean all the way around. It looks good. We have some faces here that may be intersecting. So what we could do is go to polygon, just grab one side, you know, the front facing side, and let's just nudge them out with the move tool. Just a quick edit. Constantly edit yourself. There we go. That looks better. Left viewport. And we're going to make a little wedge that meets the shape of the wheel. So let's start out with, let's do it with a tube cap. Why not? F3. I'm going to drag this out from the center of the wheel there. I'm going to drag it out just like that. And I'm going to inset a bit. I'm going to give it a high number of segments. 64. Okay. And now we'll convert that to an editable poly. F3. Let's grab some polygons. We're going to just leave enough to cover just where that bump comes off the arm. So I'm going to delete this set of polygons. Let's delete these. Go to perspective. And I'm going to just grab that little selection there. I'm going to pull it out here so we can see a little better. Okay, let's affect pivot only. So we're going to go to hierarchy, affect pivot only, center to object, just like that. We have it. Zoom in, F4. Okay, and now I'm going to move this toward the wheel a bit. Rotate it with the E key. You'll get the rotate. There we go. Okay, and now what we're going to do is let's go down here, polygon. Let's get rid of these two, and we'll keep the rest. So now what I'm going to do is grab some edges. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to hit W for the move tool. I'm going to shift them out. Let's shift them without dragging it out. Well, let's drag them. So we're cloning them. Shift drag, just like that. And now let's try something we haven't tried yet. We're going to grab 1, 2, 3 verts. And I think I mentioned earlier that we can use cap poly when we have a vertex selection. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to cap that poly. And we'll do the same at the other end. Cap poly. Okay, and that gave us a shape that we're kind of looking for. Let's grab these two verts, Shift and X to get our edge constraints, and let's just move them down just like that. There we go. Now if you're unhappy about these being triangles at the end, you can do a ring selection, Control Shift and E, and now they're quads. They're just four-sided triangles. Let me move this vert. It'll illustrate a little better what we're looking at. Looking at something like that. So it is a quad. If you want to see a little more squared off, that'll help you envision what we're looking at. Let's go to add a turbo smooth to the stack, just like that. Okay, and we're going to pull it out a little bit. Very good. And now what I'm going to do is below turbo smooth, let's put a shell. Hit S 5 times on your keyboard when you select the modifier list. Let's give it 3 segments, just like that. Up the turbo smooth to 2. Okay. And now what I want to do is go down to vertex. Go to toggle end result. I'm going to grab this one and this one. Let's see if we have our edge constraints still set. If not, Shift and X. There they go. And we're going to just, let's do them one at a time. I'm going to move this closer, just like that. Same thing at the other end, just like that. I'm manually shaping this, but it helps that I'm seeing the end result. So it's a great way to model. I like to do this when I do organic objects. Just model on the fly with the smooth active so I can see what's going on. And that looks really good. I'm just going to tighten these up. So I'm going to pull them towards each other a little bit, make that a little sharper, just like that. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll make a copy for the back. So I'm going to grab that whole object, shift and drag it back, just like that. Okay, grab this one. Let's grab the outer part of the wheel. So let me hit F4 so you can see. I'm going to select that, and then we're going to Alt and Q. Let's go to left viewport. Make sure it looks the way we want. I'm going to deselect the wheel, and we're going to just rotate those two just a touch so they meet the shape a little better. Let's turn off angle snaps so we can do a little more finesse. There we go. Okay, let's go to Shift and B, zoom with the Z key, and now I'm just going to come into standard primitives. I'm going to create a plane that encompasses those two pieces we just built. I'm going to change those segments a little bit. 8 looks good. 8, and let's do less than 4. Let's do 3. Go to perspective. Let's move this forward right here, just like that. Left viewport, F3 so we can see a little better. I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to move it a little bit, just like that. Maybe scale it. Might want a little bit bigger. A little beyond the ends of the wedges we just created, just like that. Okay. Editable poly. Let's get a bend modifier. Hit B on your keyboard, and let's try Y. Y is not it. X. Let's go to perspective so we get a better look. There we go. I think it's going to be Y, but we need to change this 90 degrees. There we go. So don't be afraid to use the direction value, and if you see that the the bend is in the wrong direction, try it in 90-degree increments to change the bend. And now we'll just grab this piece and pull it back just like that. Let's go to left viewport, and we want to make sure it kind of matches the curve here. Rotate tool, just a slight rotate, and with snaps off it's a lot easier to get it closer to what we want. Send that back a little. Let's go to perspective. Okay, above this bend we're going to add a shell modifier, so modifier list shell, right click out that amount and just do this right here. I want to be a little thicker than that. Looks like it has some substance. It's got to stop this train. F4. Okay, that looks good. Just back it up a little so it meets them. Let's make it even thicker. There we go. Okay. And now what I want to do, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to edge. It's going to you can't use show end result because bend gets eliminated. Doesn't show that effect. So let's do this. Alt R on these two edges for ring selection. Control Shift and E, and let's grab this edge. Alt and L for a loop. Let's move that out. Tighten it up to the corner here. Same thing there. And let's do it here. Alt R for ring selection. Control Shift and E. Let's make sure edge constraints are active. If they're not, Shift and X and move that up just like that. Let's do the same down here at the bottom. Alt and R, Control Shift and E, and move it down. Okay, let's go back up. F4, and you see that that's still conforming to the shape of those two wedges. Let's add a turbo smooth. Hit T on your keyboard 3 times in the modifier list. And that's the brake shoe. Let's give it a name, brake underscore shoe -01. And let's grab these two here. 1, 2. F3, make sure we have the right objects. Tools. Rename objects. Brake underscore mount. And numbered. Rename. Okay, so now they're all named. Let's exit isolation. There we go. So we have a brake shoe, and kind of looks like what I'm looking at in the reference. So what we'll do is, I mentioned these pins. We're going to do them in the next video. We're going to add axles to all the openings with the wheels, and we're going to add these little metal pins wherever there's a brake assembly, just so we have the parts we need to pivot on. And I'll pick it up in the next video.